Ambassador Karen Phillips stood at the observation deck of the stealth cruiser, vigilant, her face impassive, as she studied the alien coalition armada arrayed beyond Mars. The massive vessels hung like predatory insects against the void, their hulls gleaming with iridescent alloys unknown to humanity until 50 years ago. "Quite the show of force," Captain Jake Morrison remarked, moving to stand beside her. His weathered face betrayed nothing, but Karen knew him well enough to detect the tension in his shoulders. "They really want us to believe resistance is futile." Karen nodded, her gaze fixed on the lead dreadnought, nearly the size of Manhattan, bristling with weapon ports that glowed in ominous crimson. "That's the whole point, Jake. They need us terrified." The bridge of the Vigilant hummed with quiet efficiency as crew members monitored systems that, to coalition sensors, would register as nothing more advanced than basic life support and rudimentary navigation. The ship itself appeared to alien scans as little more than an outdated diplomatic vessel, practically an antique by coalition standards. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," announced Lieutenant Santos, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface that would collapse into vintage physical controls should any alien inspectors board. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing President Dan Blake's face. Despite the gravity of the situation, the leader of Earth's united government looked remarkably composed. "Ambassador Phillips," he greeted her with a nod. "General Carter and Dr. Thompson have confirmed all systems are green. The coalition ultimatum expires in 72 hours. Karen felt a cold determination settle in her chest. "And our colonies?" "Commander Rodriguez reports Mars is prepared. Dr. Sullivan confirms moon base is ready. Captain Parker has the asteroid belt secured. All installations are maintaining appearances, as instructed." "And the deep space contingency?" "Captain Wright reports her squadron is in position beyond Neptune. They'll remain silent until Protocol 7 is activated." Karen exchanged a meaningful glance with Morrison. 50 years of meticulous planning, of technological development disguised as primitive attempts to catch up to the Coalition's superior civilization. 50 years of building fleets in hidden shipyards, disguising advanced weapons as mining equipment, and developing quantum sensors that could penetrate the aliens' most sophisticated cloaking technology. "Very well, Mr. President. I'll open the channel." As Blake's image disappeared, Karen squared her shoulders. "Captain Morrison, please establish direct communication with the Coalition flagship." "Yes, Ambassador." Morrison nodded to communications. "Channel open." The view screen changed to reveal War Prime Zethor, his scaled face dominating the screen. Multiple blinking implants surrounded his reptilian eyes, which regarded Karen with undisguised contempt. "Ambassador Phillips," he hissed, mandibles clicking. "I trust you bring Earth surrender." Karen maintained perfect diplomatic composure. "War Prime Zethor, I bring Earth's response to your ultimatum. The United Earth government categorically refuses your demands for surrender and resource appropriation." Zethor's scales flushed a deep purple, a sign of amusement in his species. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. Earth will submit or face complete destruction." "We understand perfectly. War Prime. Earth has considered your demands and rejected them." A low, guttural sound emerged from Zethor's throat, the Coalition equivalent of laughter. "Your species continues to amuse me, Ambassador. Your fleet consists of outdated cruisers. Your colonies are fragile bubbles that my ships could puncture with minimal effort. What possible resistance could you mount?" Karen allowed herself a small smile. "That remains to be seen, War Prime." Zethor's amusement vanished. "You have 72 Earth hours to reconsider. After that, we begin with your Mars colony, then the Moon, then Earth itself. The Coalition has conquered 17 species more advanced than yours. Your extinction is merely an administrative formality." The transmission cut abruptly, returning to a view of the Coalition armada. Morrison turned to Karen. "Always a pleasure speaking with War Prime Zethor." He's predictable, at least, Karen replied. Alert Earth Command. The countdown has begun. Across Earth's hidden command centers, countdown clocks synchronized. In the underground headquarters beneath Geneva, President Blake convened with his war council. 72 hours until they move on Mars, General Lisa Carter reported, her normally stoic expression betraying a hint of anticipation. All deception protocols remain in effect. Coalition intelligence continues to believe our technology is at least a century behind theirs. Dr. Alex Thompson, head of Earth's Defense Technology Division, pulled up a holographic display of the solar system. For 50 years, they've seen exactly what we wanted them to see. Primitive ships, struggling colonies. They believe our most advanced weapon is a basic fusion missile. Their arrogance has been our greatest advantage, President Blake observed. And now it will be their downfall. The Ethics Committee has raised concerns. Dr. Kate Sullivan interjected from her video link from the moon. Her face appeared tired, but resolute. Some feel we should reveal a portion of our true capabilities, perhaps convince the coalition to negotiate rather than trigger what will amount to a massacre. General Carter shook her head firmly. We tried negotiation when they first arrived. They responded by destroying Chicago as a demonstration. 3 million dead in an instant. And they've spent the last 5 decades treating us like a subjugated species, Blake added. Taking our resources, restricting our movements within our own solar system, permitting us limited colonies as if granting privileges to children. Dr. Thompson expanded the holographic display to show the hidden defense networks that span the solar system. Everything is in place. Protocol 7 can be activated the moment they make their move. President Blake looked at each council member in turn. We have spent half a century preparing for this moment. Earth will no longer bow to coalition demands. Are we in agreement? The vote was unanimous. As the countdown continued, Karen Phillips remained aboard the Vigilant, maintaining the appearance of a desperate diplomatic mission. Each communication with the coalition was a carefully crafted performance. Pleas for more time. Hints at internal disagreements among Earth's leadership. Suggestions that certain factions might be willing to surrender. You play your part well, Morrison commented, after a particularly convincing display of frustration with an alien commander. Karen stared out at the stars. Sometimes I wonder if we've become what we once feared. We've built our civilization on deception for 50 years. We've built our civilization on survival, Morrison countered. After Chicago, after what they did to the Jakarta fleet, we had no choice. Karen nodded, remembering the Jakarta incident, Earth's last genuine attempt at resistance before the deception strategy was implemented. She had lost friends aboard those ships, as had Morrison. The coalition had broadcast the destruction across all Earth communications channels as a lesson. I know, she said quietly. But when this is over, when we've won, I hope we remember why we fought in the first place. In the final hours before the deadline, coalition ships began moving into attack formation near Mars. Commander Amy Rodriguez, from her control center beneath Olympus Mons, watched the alien vessels positioning themselves through quantum sensor feeds that the coalition had no idea existed. They're right where we want them, she reported to Earth Command. All 19 ships. In the asteroid belt. Captain Ben Parker verified that the coalition patrol vessels had taken the bait, moving to investigate unusual energy readings from what they believed to be vulnerable mining operations. Asteroid Defense Network standing by, he confirmed. Coalition scouts are approaching designated ambush coordinates. As the deadline expired, War Prime Zethor made a final transmission to Earth. Your time is up, Ambassador Phillips. You will now witness the consequence of your defiance. Karen met his gaze without flinching. Before you proceed, War Prime, I have been instructed to deliver a final message from Earth. Speak quickly, then it changes nothing. Karen's voice became steel. Earth has warned you repeatedly that we were holding back. You chose not to listen. Now humanity strikes hard. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Zethor's alien features. What deception is this? No deception. War Prime. Only truth at last. Karen looked to Morrison and nodded. Activate Protocol 7. Throughout the solar system, the signal propagated. In the asteroid belt, mining stations that had for decades appeared as primitive extraction operations suddenly transformed. Hidden compartments opened, revealing advanced weapon systems. Holographic camouflage dissolved, exposing fortress-like structures embedded within the asteroids themselves. Captain Parker gave the command. All units, weapons free. Coalition fighters that had approached the seemingly defenseless mining operations found themselves caught in devastating crossfire. Railguns that had been disguised as ore processing equipment unleashed hypersonic projectiles, shredding alien vessels before they could raise shields. On Mars, Commander Rodriguez activated the colony's defenses. What the Coalition had believed to be atmospheric regulators on the surface domes reconfigured into particle cannon arrays. Underground hangars opened, revealing squadrons of fighters that had been assembled in secret beneath the Martian soil. Mars Defense Force, engage all targets, Rodriguez ordered. Protect the civilian sectors. Coalition ships that had been preparing to bombard the fragile Mars colony suddenly found themselves under attack from all directions. Advanced targeting systems that humanity had supposedly never developed locked onto their most vulnerable points. On the Moon, Dr. Sullivan initiated lunar defense protocols. Massive doors that had been disguised as impact craters slid open, and hundreds of destroyers emerged from underground hangars. Lunar Fleet, deploy as planned, she commanded. Establish defensive perimeter and prepare for Earth orbit operations. In the outer solar system, Captain Helen Wright's Deep Space Squadron, hidden beyond Neptune for years, powered up their engines and began their approach. All ships, maintain stealth protocols until engagement range, Wright instructed. Prepare to intercept Coalition reinforcements. Aboard the Vigilant, Karen and Morrison watched as the first wave of humanity's counterattack unfolded. 50 years of patience, Morrison murmured. About to pay off. Karen nodded, but her expression remained troubled. Let's hope we don't lose ourselves in the process. War Prime Zethor's initial confusion had transformed into rage as reports flooded in from across the solar system. Impossible, he snarled at his commanders. Their technology was primitive. Our intelligence confirmed it. Admiral Valina, his second-in-command, studied the tactical displays with growing concern. They deceived us, War Prime, completely and deliberately. Deploy the main fleet, Zethor commanded. Crush their resistance immediately. As the Coalition armada advanced toward Earth, they encountered yet another surprise. Admiral Tony Yamamoto, commander of Earth's orbital defenses, implemented the next phase of Protocol 7. Activate holographic countermeasures, he ordered from his command center beneath the Pacific. Let them target the decoys. Coalition ships fired upon what appeared to be Earth's defensive platforms, outdated and vulnerable. Their weapons struck true, destroying the targets, only to discover they had been elaborate holograms. Now, Yamamoto commanded, reveal the true fleet. Across Earth orbit, advanced stealth systems deactivated. Hundreds of warships, far more technologically sophisticated than anything the Coalition had believed possible, appeared as if from nowhere. They had been there all along, invisible to alien sensors. The Coalition commanders reacted with shock, hastily redeploying to face this unexpected threat. But they had fallen into exactly the trap humanity had set. All ships, target designated weak points, Yamamoto ordered. Quantum disruptors authorized. The weapon the Coalition had never imagined humans could develop, technology that Earth scientists had pioneered in absolute secrecy, engaged. The quantum disruptor beam struck the first alien cruiser, not damaging it in conventional terms, but rather destabilizing the quantum structure of its matter. The massive ship seemed to shimmer, then simply ceased to exist, its constituent particles scattered across space. On the Coalition command ship, Zethor watched in disbelief. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Their scientific development was monitored, their research facilities inspected. Admiral Velena's expression had grown grim. "They showed us what they wanted us to see, war prime. For 50 years, we saw only what they permitted." In the Kuiper Belt, Coalition reserve fleets emerging from hyperspace found themselves under immediate attack from Captain Wright's hidden squadron. "All ships, execute Pattern Sigma," Wright commanded. "Don't let them establish formation." Human vessels that had been concealed among the distant ice bodies of the outer solar system now revealed advanced weapons capabilities that shocked the arriving Coalition forces. What should have been an overwhelming Coalition reinforcement turned into a desperate battle for survival. As the initial shock of humanity's true capabilities registered across Coalition forces, General Lisa Carter coordinated the combined Earth defensive strategy from her command center. "Mars sector secured," Commander Rodriguez reported. "Coalition forces in full retreat. Civilian areas untouched." "Asteroid Defense Network reports all hostile elements neutralized," Captain Parker confirmed. "Moving to secondary objectives. Lunar Fleet has established Earth orbital superiority in conjunction with Admiral Yamamoto's forces," Dr. Sullivan added. "Quantum Sensor Network confirms no Coalition breakthrough attempts have succeeded." Carter nodded, but found no satisfaction in the reports. The Coalition forces were being decimated exactly as planned. Their overconfidence turned into their greatest vulnerability. Yet the scale of destruction weighed on her. These aliens had been their oppressors for decades, had killed millions of humans. But the slaughter now unfolding had been meticulously engineered. "We gave them every opportunity to leave us in peace," President Blake reminded her, sensing her thoughts. "They chose this outcome." "I know, Mr. President," Carter replied. "But knowing we could have revealed our strength earlier, perhaps saved lives on both sides, and risked them bringing their full empire against us before we were ready." Blake shook his head. "We had one chance to ensure humanity's survival. This was it." In deep space, the battle continued to unfold. Colonel Frank Mitchell led Wolfpack Squadron, elite pilots with the most advanced fighters Earth had ever produced, in precision strikes against Coalition command vessels. "Target their communication arrays first," Mitchell instructed his pilots. "Keep them isolated from each other." The human fighters moved with astonishing speed and maneuverability, employing tactics the Coalition had never encountered. Each Coalition attempt to coordinate was disrupted, further fragmenting their response. Aboard her flagship, Admiral Velena was coming to a disturbing realization. The humans had not just deceived the Coalition about their technological capabilities. They had studied Coalition tactics, weaknesses, and communication protocols in exhaustive detail. Each human countermeasure seemed perfectly designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities. "We never knew them at all," she murmured, watching another battle group fall into disarray. "We saw what we expected to see, a primitive species struggling to survive." "Your assessment, Admiral?" War Prime Zethor demanded, his earlier confidence now completely evaporated. "We cannot win this battle," Velena stated bluntly. "Not with our current forces. We need reinforcements from the homeworld." "Impossible. Communications have been severed." Zethor's scales had paled to an ashen gray, a sign of fear among his kind. "We are isolated." As the battle progressed, Coalition forces attempted to regroup at Lagrange Point L1 between Earth and the Sun. It was there that humanity sprung its final trap. Admiral Yamamoto coordinated with Captain Wright's Outer System forces and the Lunar Fleet under Dr. Sullivan's command. Together, they executed a perfect encirclement maneuver, cutting off all possible escape routes. "All units in position," Yamamoto confirmed. "The Coalition flagship is isolated." Colonel Mitchell's Wolfpack Squadron moved in for the decisive strike, targeting the command vessels that housed the Coalition leadership. Wolfpack actual to all units, Mitchell transmitted. Weapons tight. We want prisoners, not martyrs. With surgical precision, the squadron disabled the coalition flagship's propulsion and weapon systems while leaving life support intact. Similar operations targeted other command ships in rapid succession. War Prime Zethor, Admiral Valena, and General Mordak, the triumvirate that had orchestrated decades of Earth's subjugation, found themselves trapped as their vessel was boarded by human special forces. "This is impossible!" Mordak snarled as human soldiers secured the bridge. "You are an inferior species!" The squad leader merely smiled behind her helmet. "That's what you were meant to think." The coalition leadership was transferred to the EDF Constitution, Earth's true flagship that had remained hidden until this moment. There, they found themselves face-to-face with Ambassador Karen Phillips and President Blake. "War Prime Zethor." Karen greeted him with the same diplomatic poise she had always shown. "Admiral Valena, General Mordak, welcome aboard." Zethor's rage was palpable. "You deceived us. For decades." "Yes," Karen acknowledged simply. "After Chicago, after Jakarta, we realized we could not defeat the coalition through conventional resistance. So we adapted." "You pretended to be weak," Valena said, understanding dawning in her eyes. President Blake nodded. "We showed you outdated technology during your inspections. We built primitive ships for you to see. Meanwhile, our real development happened in locations your sensors could not penetrate. Underground, underwater, in dimensional pockets your science hasn't yet discovered." "Impossible," Mordak insisted. "Our intelligence—" "Your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted it to see," Karen interrupted. "Your overconfidence did the rest." As they spoke, human forces throughout the solar system were stabilizing orbital infrastructure and beginning relief operations for civilian colonies that had been caught in the crossfire. Coalition survivors were being processed, many stunned to discover that the primitive humans had medical technology that could treat injuries their own medics considered fatal. "What happens now?" Admiral Valena asked, her tone suggesting she already knew the answer. Karen's expression remained neutral. "Now, we dictate terms of peace. The coalition's dominion over Earth and its colonies is over." President Blake activated a holographic display showing the scope of the human victory. "Your forces have been neutralized throughout our solar system. Your communications back to coalition space have been blocked. As far as your empire knows, the subjugation of Earth is proceeding as planned." "And that gives us time," Karen continued, "to establish the new order before they discover otherwise." War Prime Zethor's scales flushed dark with fury. "The coalition spans 17 star systems. When they discover what has happened, they will face the same choice you faced." Blake interrupted. "Accept humanity as equals, or better yet, as the dominant power we have proven ourselves to be, or face destruction." Karen stepped forward. "We have prepared terms of surrender. You will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our territorial claims extending to the Kuiper Belt. You will arrange for reparations for 50 years of resource theft, and you will help facilitate our introduction to the wider galactic community as a power to be respected, not subjugated." "And if we refuse?" General Mordak demanded. Karen's expression hardened slightly. "Then we continue this war, but on coalition territory. We have the coordinates of every major world in your empire. Our stealth fleets can reach them before any warning does." The implication was clear. The same devastating surprise that had overwhelmed the coalition forces in the solar system could be replicated throughout their empire. After several tense moments, Admiral Valena spoke. "I will sign your terms, Ambassador Phillips." "Valena!" Zethor hissed. "You commit treason against the coalition." "I prevent genocide. War Prime," she replied calmly. "Either ours or theirs. The humans have demonstrated their superiority. The coalition must adapt or perish. Isn't that our own central doctrine?" In the days that followed, President Blake addressed Earth's population, revealing the full scope of the victory and the 50-year deception that had made it possible. Celebrations erupted across the planet and its colonies as people finally understood the true purpose behind decades of seemingly primitive development and apparent subjugation. Within weeks, a human-led galactic patrol, ships that had been prepared in secret for exactly this purpose, escorted coalition representatives from 17 star systems to Earth to sign formal treaties. The coalition empire, which had dominated this sector of the galaxy for centuries, found itself humbled before a species it had gravely underestimated. Construction began on the first human starbase in the Sol system, formerly coalition territory, now ceded to Earth as part of the reparations agreement. Admiral Valena, who had emerged as the new leader of the coalition following Zethor's removal, worked alongside human engineers to ensure the peaceful transition of power. Aboard the Vigilant, now revealed as one of Earth's most advanced diplomatic vessels, rather than the outdated craft it had appeared to be, Karen Phillips and Captain Morrison watched the starbase construction through the observation deck. "They never believed we could stand against them," Morrison remarked. "Now they must respect us." Karen nodded, but her expression remained thoughtful. "We've achieved everything we planned. Jake, Earth is safe. The colonies are secure. We've even established ourselves as the dominant power in this sector." "But," Morrison prompted, sensing her reservation, "but now comes the hard part. We're custodians of many species now, responsible for their welfare. The weight of power is often heavier than the struggle to attain it." Morrison considered this. "Do you think we'll handle it better than the coalition did?" Karen watched as a shuttle departed the starbase, carrying human and alien diplomats to further negotiations. "I hope so. We fought not just to survive, but to create something better. If we simply become the new oppressors, then what was it all for?" "The difference is that we remember what it was like to be the underdog," Morrison suggested. "That changes a species." "Perhaps," Karen agreed. "Or perhaps power always corrupts, regardless of history." She turned from the window. "That's why I've proposed the Accountability Council to President Blake, a body specifically designed to prevent us from becoming what we overthrew." In the command center of the newly commissioned starbase, Dr. Thompson met with scientists from Earth and former coalition worlds. Technology that humanity had developed in secret was now being shared, with appropriate safeguards. The quantum disruptor was never intended as a weapon of mass destruction, Thompson explained to the gathering. Its original purpose was clean energy generation. We adapted it out of necessity. An alien scientist, a member of Valena's species, examined the schematics with interest. "Your people achieved in 50 years what took the coalition centuries. How?" Thompson smiled slightly. "Necessity and misdirection. When your surveyors and inspectors came, we showed them obsolete research while our true work continued elsewhere. Having an enemy who underestimates you can be an advantage." On Mars, Commander Rodriguez oversaw the dismantling of the hidden defense systems that had protected the colony. With the coalition threat neutralized, the resources could be better used for expansion and development. "Hard to believe we lived our whole lives pretending to be less than we were," her lieutenant commented as they watched construction drones repurpose a former weapon emplacement into a public park. "My parents remembered Earth before first contact," Rodriguez replied. "They said the hardest part wasn't building the technology. It was the constant deception. Always appearing weak when you're strong. Always accepting insults you could answer." "Was it worth it?" Rodriguez gazed at the Martian horizon, where new domes were being constructed, no longer designed to conceal military capabilities, but simply to house the growing population. "Ask me in another 50 years. We won the war. Now we have to win the peace." In lunar orbit, Dr. Sullivan coordinated with the newly formed Galactic Patrol. Ships that had once hidden their capabilities now openly displayed their advanced technology as they patrolled the solar system and beyond. Patrol Leader Wright reports the Centauri transition is complete. Her assistant reported, "Former Coalition forces have accepted Earth authority without incident." Sullivan nodded, studying the holographic display of human influence, now extending across multiple star systems. And the Procyon situation? Captain Parker's battle group arrived yesterday. Negotiations are proceeding. Sullivan allowed herself a small smile. From hiding in the asteroid belt to negotiating interstellar treaties, Parker's come a long way. We all have, Doctor, in what had once been Coalition headquarters on their capital world, now repurposed as Earth's primary diplomatic mission. President Blake met with representatives from dozens of species, some formerly part of the Coalition, others independent powers curious about the newcomers who had so dramatically changed the balance of power. Earth seeks neither conquest nor subjugation, Blake assured them. Our goal is mutual security and prosperity. Yet you destroyed the Coalition fleet, observed an ambassador from a crystalline species. You demanded reparations and territory. We responded to aggression with appropriate force, Blake replied calmly. The Coalition gave us no choice but to demonstrate our true capabilities. Now that we prefer cooperation to conflict. Admiral Valena, present as the Coalition's representative, spoke up. I can confirm that humans have treated our worlds with unexpected restraint. They could have occupied our systems by force. Instead, they established joint administration and fair resource allocation. The gathering seemed skeptical but intrigued. Humanity's sudden emergence as a major power had sent shockwaves throughout galactic politics. Some feared them. Others sought alliance. All watched closely to see what Earth would do with its newfound dominance. Colonel Mitchell, now Commander Mitchell of Earth's Rapid Response Force, supervised training exercises with pilots from former Coalition worlds. The integration was proceeding better than expected. Many alien pilots eager to learn the tactics that had proven so effective against their own forces. The key was never technological superiority, Mitchell explained to his mixed-species squadron. It was strategic deception, combined with precise application of force. We never won by overwhelming the enemy. We won by appearing vulnerable until the perfect moment to strike. A pilot from Valena's species, scaled and reptilian, raised a clawed hand. Is this why humans now insist on transparency in all military matters? You fear others might use your own tactics against you? Mitchell nodded. Exactly. The greatest danger isn't a known enemy. It's the one you underestimate. As the first year of Earth's ascendancy drew to a close, Karen Phillips found herself once again aboard the Vigilant, this time approaching the Sol System starbase for its official commissioning ceremony. Captain Morrison stood at her side, both of them now wearing the formal uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps, no longer disguised as outdated garments, but displaying the true sophistication of human design. 1 year since Protocol 7, Morrison remarked. Sometimes I still expect to wake up and find we're still pretending to be the Coalition's poor cousins. Karen smiled slightly. Old habits die hard. I caught myself yesterday instructing staff to hide the good stuff before a delegation arrived. The starbase came into view, a massive structure that combined elements of human and Coalition architecture, symbolic of the new relationship between the species. Ships from a dozen worlds docked at its spires, commerce and diplomacy flowing where once there had been only domination. We've created something remarkable, Karen observed. Peace through strength. Peace through strength that was always there, just hidden, Morrison corrected. As the Vigilant docked, Karen prepared to disembark for the ceremony. The past year had been exhausting, establishing the new order, negotiating treaties, preventing retribution against former Coalition authorities, setting up the Accountability Council to ensure humanity didn't simply replace one tyranny with another. President Blake was waiting in the reception area, along with Admiral Valena and representatives from 17 formerly coalition worlds and a dozen independent systems. "Ambassador Phillips," Blake greeted her. "Ready to make it official?" Karen nodded. "The Galactic Concord is prepared for ratification, Mr. President." The ceremony proceeded with appropriate gravity, the signing of the document that would formalize the new power structure, with Earth at its center, but with protections and rights guaranteed for all member worlds. It was, Karen reflected, everything they had fought for. Not just survival, but the chance to build something better than what had come before. As the final signatures were applied, and the assembled representatives applauded, Karen found herself standing next to Admiral Valena. "Your people have surprised us at every turn, Ambassador," the alien remarked. "First with your deception, then with your victory, now with your restraint." "We remember what it was like to be powerless," Karen replied. "It creates a certain perspective." "The Coalition forgot that perspective centuries ago," Valena acknowledged. "Perhaps that was our downfall." Later, as celebration events continued throughout the massive starbase, Karen returned to a quiet observation deck. Earth was not visible from this distance, but she knew its location among the stars. No longer a vulnerable blue marble under alien domination, but the center of a growing sphere of human influence. Morrison found her there, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. "To victory," he proposed, offering her one. Karen accepted the glass, but modified the toast. "To responsibility. The easy part is over. Jake, we won the war. Now we have to justify that victory by creating something worthy of the cost." They stood in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the former coalition territories, other galactic powers were no doubt receiving reports about Earth's sudden emergence. Some would seek alliance. Others might see a threat to be contained. The future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. Humanity would never again hide its strength or pretend to be less than it was. Earth had warned the coalition they were holding back, and now the galaxy knew the truth. "What do you think happens next?" Morrison asked eventually. Karen considered the question, watching a ship depart the starbase, a joint, human-alien scientific vessel bound for unexplored regions. "We keep building. We keep learning. We try to be better than those who came before us. And if we face new threats?" Karen's expression hardened slightly, the diplomat giving way momentarily to the strategist who had helped plan humanity's liberation. "Then they'll face us at our full strength from the beginning. No more deception. No more hiding." "Earth warned them," Morrison said, echoing the phrase that had become something of a motto among human forces. Karen nodded. "And now humanity stands tall." Together, they watched the stars, guardians of a peace that had been 50 years in the making. A peace secured not through submission, but through patience, deception, and the resolve to strike hard when the moment came.